Real Talk.
Hello everyone. Today meron tayong special guest. Of course, I'm again with Mark Gamboa, my partner in crime here. Kasama po natin si former secretary and pundit extraordinaire Ronald Llamas. Thank you very much, Secretary Llamas, for joining us.
Salamat, Richard. Mark, no, it's a pleasure being here. No, my first time, hopefully not my last time.
Yeah, no, let's make the most. So, dito sa Real Talk, obviously, we want to have substantive discussion. You know, kind of the joke is, you know, this is the Joe Rogan version, except more progressive, more nice, more politically correct, but you know, punchy pa rin. Secretary Llamas, can you give us a little bit about your background? Of course, you're both controversial sometimes, but also very perceptive as a person. What was your journey before becoming political affairs secretary during the Aquino administration?
Should I start at college days?
Go ahead. Sure.
Well, I went to UST because hindi ko alam kung anong kukunin kong course, no? At saka yung nililigawan ko pumunta ron. So, yun yung naging dahilan kung ba't ako nag-UST. And then, at the time, martial law, no, 1978, kumuha ako ng exam sa aming campus paper, yung The Flame.
Right.
At napasok ako. At that's where I started my politicalization. Dun sa aming campus paper. At saka, a year later, sumama ako dun sa university paper, yung The Varsitarian.
Right.
At dahil nung panahon na yan, bawal pa ang student council, we decided to set up our own. No? Tama ako, kasabay namin nagtayo ang UP ng Student Council during martial law. That was 78, 79. No? At tuwan-tuwa kami, excited kami. Na-discover namin yung aming student power, no? Yung aming student activism. No? And nung nagtayo kami ng Student Council, kasama na dyan yung program of immersion at saka exposure sa mga squatters. No? First time ko napuntahan yung Tondo, yung Smoky Mountain, yung Barrio Magsaysay, yung
1978, 79.
Yeah, 79, no? Yung Bangkulasi, no? Yung Tatalon, no? At sa Tondo, I met a priest na nag-organize at gumagawa ng medical mission. Ang pangalan niya ay si Father Romeo Intengan. No? Fast forward, he eventually became the head ng Jesuits sa buong Pilipinas, no? At the time, I was amazed, no? Doktor siya, pari siya, and matalino. So, sa kanya nagsimula yung aking politicalization. No?
Or radicalization, for that matter.
Yeah, probably. And then dumating yung Pope noong 1981. I was the president of the Student Council then sa UST. Yung aking first special operations, no? Gumawa kami ng manifesto at nung niyakap ko yung Pope, no? Ay nilagay ko sa kanyang sutana habang yung mga kasama ko ay nagrarally sa labas. Nagrarally sa labas. So, sabi ko, yun yung aking first special ops. No? Tapos yung statement namin, lumabas dun sa La Observatore. Yung,
so they picked it up.
Nabasa ng Pope yung statement na nilagay ko sa sutana niya. Dahil syempre, may cordon sanitary yan. You cannot do that. So maraming nangyari dun sa nung college days na which helped shape my political awareness, no, my political future, and to a great extent, my political community. No? Diyan nagsimula. And after nun, ayun na, nag-organize ka na sa trade unions, nag-organize ka na sa peasants, nagbuo ka ng mga NGOs, and then nung nangyari yung EDSA, I was young then, no? Early 20s, sumama ka, of course, no? And after ng EDSA, nabuo, ito yung tawag ko, golden years of coalitions, no? Nabuo yung broadest labor coalition, yung LACC. Nabuo yung Freedom from Death Coalition, no? Nabuo yung National Movement for Civil Liberties ni Renato Constantino, no? Nabuo yung Congress for People's Agrarian Reform or CIPAR, no? So ang daming nabuo na lahat ng grupo nagsama-sama for the first time, no? Dahil during the martial law years before EDSA, biyak-biyak yung opposition, biyak-biyak yung progressive movement. After EDSA, ito yung golden age na tinatawag namin. Para sa NGOs, there were thousands of NGOs yung nagsulputan, di ba? So that's the short of it. No?
Mr. Leones, can you tell me a little bit about the let's just call it the Maharlika era. How golden was this era, or how bad really was the dictatorship, martial lawyers? Because you were able to still do a lot of things, right? I mean, this is not like North Korea situation or something like that.
Well, nung college, may nabasa kang 2 libro, no? Yung 1984 ni George Orwell.
Right,
At saka yung Brave New World ni Aldous Huxley.
Right.
At that time, parang ang tingin mo, ito yung 1984, no? Big Brother, no? Lahat kayo nag-iingat, no?
Right. Surveillance state.
May mga hinuhuli. Nung President Student Council, inimbita ko yung President ng UP Student Council, si Malu Mangahas. At she was arrested on the way, no? Doon sa symposium na inimbita ko siya. Nahuli siya sa corner ng EDSA at saka ng Quezon Avenue. So, halimbawa yan of those days, no?
How you had to navigate the situation.
No? But it was also a different time, no? At the time, you read a lot, no? Wala pang wala pang
social
internet,
media,
no? Wala pang smartphones, no? Wala pang cable TV. So, talagang mas may focus ka, no? Doon sa mga books, sa classics, no? Sa mga progressive publications, etc. No? So, kaya nga sabi ko, at that time, it was more the 1984 era ni George Orwell. Pero, after nyan, ay nagsimula nang magbago yung mundo, no? It's becoming more and more the Aldous Huxley Brave New World, no? So many distractions, so many information, at dun tayo ngayon nandun, no? Itong mundo na to, no? It was cool, dahil nung nabasa mo yung 2 libro na yan, nabuo yan 1946.
Right.
Very prophetic, no? At,
yung kay Orwell,
sabay sila.
Sabay sila,
sabay lumabas yung kay George Orwell at Aldous Huxley. Kaya minsan pag nagle-lecture ako sa UST, kinikwento ko yan dahil ngayon, it's more the Brave New World ni Aldous Huxley. No? A world of infinite possibilities but also of infinite distractions. No? Di ba? Yun ngayon yung nung panahon ng martial law or the George Orwell moment, no? You are being censored at that time. No? Yung famous magazine nga namin, yung The Flame, tawag namin The Red Issue, ay binan mismo ni Enrile ng Department of National Defense noong 1981, no? Dahil gumawa kami ng caricature niya. Tawag namin ay Confessions of a Butcher. So, parang manifestation niya nung mundo nung panahon na yun. No? Ngayon, you cannot choose because there are too many choices. Diba? Yun naman ang problema.
Paradox of many.
At that time, wala kang choice, no? Dahil may censorship. Ngayon, ang censorship is too much information, too much choices. Hindi mo na alam kung ano tama, anong totoo.
Walang attention.
Yes. Kaya mahalaga yung ganitong klaseng shows.
Right.
Dahil from this confusion, from this clutter, we try to sift. We try to separate what is true, no? What is real, no? Real talk, no? Doon sa clutter, no? Doon sa confusion, doon sa disinformation.
Secretary Llamas, I'm sure Mark also has a number of questions on this. Can you explain me a little bit about this issue of coalition building, people coming together? Because you can see the implication of this when we'll talk about opposition as it is today, no?
Yes.
Ano yung mga factors na nag-contribute doon? Was the decisive moment, the assassination of Ninoy Aquino, was that the galvanizing moment that brought these very disparate groups together? Was it the fear na if we don't hang together, we're going to be squeezed in between the far left and the Marcos regime or whatever is coming after Ferdinand Marcos? Was that also that sense, hey, we're going to be sandwiched unless we come together, so we have to replace this? What's going on there?
Baka all of the above. No? Dahil before the assassination, marami na naman mga groups, pero they weren't that big or that important.
Correct.
Nung nangyari ang assassination, a lot of people, no, yung dating hindi sumasama sa mga marcha, parang naisip nila, totoo pala yung sinasabi nitong mga groups na ito, no? These things happen. Kung kayang gawin ito sa isang
ganong kataas na tao,
senator, no, very popular na tao katulad ni Ninoy, it can be done to anyone. So that catalyze. Kaya yun yung isang factor. Yung isang factor naman ay katulad namin, naghahanap kami ng alternatives sa communist movement. No? Kaya nagsimula na kaming magbuo ng aming organizations at ng aming mga coalitions. No? At ikatlo, alam mo na kahit meron ka sariling organization, it won't be enough.
Correct.
No? At kailangan mo ng bigger tent.
Right.
So the concept of a bigger tent ay nabuo. At after the assassination, no? At until nangyari yung EDSA, uprising ay lalo siya nagbukas na parang nakalaya yung mga tao, hindi na natatakot na magsama-sama. Kaya nabuo rin itong mga bigger tent coalition, katulad ng LACC for Labor, CPAR for Peasants, no, NMCL for Human Rights Groups, no, etc.
Yun yung sinasabi mong coalition parati, di ba? Like you have, instead of being purist, cancel culture, kasi ngayon cancel culture ang uso. Ay, hindi ang totoong opposition. Ay, hindi. Di ba? Yung ikaw yung sinasabi parati, coalition building.
At saka maraming sumulpot na bagong leaders. Dati kasi, pa isa-isa lang, pa dalawa-dalawa. Ngayon, parang mga kabute. Parang mga mushroom na
nagsupunta. No? Flowers.
Tapos naging creative ang tao. Kung makikita nyo, no? Diyan nagsimula yung mga memes. Hindi ka nag-iisa. No? Na-capture nyo yung imagination ng mga tao. No? Tie a yellow ribbon. No? Na, nung dati, yung mga ganyang klaseng mga conduct, hindi mo nakikita. So there was also a boom of creativity. No? Hindi lang yung bravery. Kundi naging creative ang mga tao.
Cool. May cool factor. May hatak.
Yes, medyo may cool factor
That's an important thing to say.
So you can communicate now with the youth, no? You can communicate now with the middle class, no? Yung mga dating hindi sumasama, nagsisimula ng sumama ngayon, no? Dahil hindi lang dahil wala na yung constriction ng democratic space, no? Parang parang yung buhay mo parang naging movie. No, yun yung ang Pinoy pa naman mahilig sa drama. Tapos ito nakikita nila. Kaya first time, nagmamarcha kami. Lahat lumalabas, nagbibigay ng sandwich, nagbibigay ng tubig, no? Na before hindi nangyari, no? Doon nabuo yung mga lakbayan na tinatawag, no? Yung mga long marches. Ang saya dahil lahat lumalabas lahat chini-cheer ka no? Na hindi mo naranasan before, no?
May euphoric moment
yung, tapos kanya-kanyang gimmick, no? Kanya-kanyang banners, kanya-kanyang placards, no? Bawat bahay may kanya-kanyang diskarte. So, yun yung maganda very participative, no? Very creative, no? Very inclusive, no? Yung mga mobilizations, no?
Secretary Llamas, what is your read of what happened after the EDSA revolution, especially in transition period under Corazon Aquino? Kasi this is a very polarizing issue, no? Kasi marami nagsabi, magpasalamat kayo kay Cory because she could have become also a dictator. At some moment, we were in an interregnum. No, walang saligang batas. She oversaw the promulgation of a totally new constitution. She could have been a strong woman if she wanted. Kind of Indira Gandhi, assuming she had the temperament. But the others would say, but that's precisely where the failings came in because you were at this, at the height of power, you could have pushed for massive reforms and yet marami hindi nangyari. Yung cancellation of debt of cronies ni Marcos, yung land reform na aggressive. And then there's a third school of thought that I think is coming out more dun sa mga ibang discussion namin, which is, but Corazon Aquino did not really control the military. I'm saying this in light of the passing of former Colonel General Senator Biazon, no? Who was very instrumental to survival of the EDSA regime. There were times na hindi mo alam kung magsasurvive yan. So ang idea nila is, even if Corazon wanted, she couldn't really change the system because she couldn't even control the military with all the coups and ram. Where do you stand on this debate? Kasi that was the crucial period, right? From 1986 to 1992, many were saying this was a time where we could have laid the ground for a true democratic system.
Well, lahat ng isasagot ko nandun na sa tanong mo
Sorry, I mean, podcast, diba? So, you get what I'm saying? No, I'm just giving you different schools of thought. So I want to know where you stand on that.
I think yung different schools of thoughts na yan ay magkakaugnay No? Halimbawa, no? There were 11 coup d'etat. No, at the time, between 87 to 89.
So not
imagine,
11, no? 11,
there was 11 dahil meron pa sa Mindanao
Correct. Yung mga, yes.
Sila Alex Noble, di ba?
11,
no? At once or twice, muntik bumagsak yung gobyerno.
Exactly.
Doon yung nagpalipad yung mga Amerikano ng kanilang mga F-16, mga fighter jet, no? Yun yung,
December 1, 1989.
89, no? November, December. So, ang kanya, no? Hindi naman talaga nawala yung influence ng mga Marcoses dahil mahigit kalahati nito mga kuna ito ay balak silang ibalik.
Correct.
Yung kalahati naman ay gusto mag-take over, no?
Ng junta. Myanmar style.
Junta, no? Which was the idea for the initial EDSA, di ba? Wala namang people power na planado ron. People power happened because of
pumalpak yung coup nila.
Yes, because of the influence of events, no? So, yun yung nangyari diyan. Yung ikalawa naman ay yung binabanggit mo nga na may economic collapse nung panahon na yan eh. Bagsak. So habang inaayos mo yung economy, habang inaayos mo yung gobyerno, meron nagpapabagsak sa'yo.
Yeah.
11 violent kudeta, no? Kaya ang hirap ibalanse, no? Syempre yung mga debtors naniningil ng utang, no? Kaya nung nagsalita si Cory sa US Congress na sabi niya, babayaran namin lahat ng aming utang. Ako, napapikit ako eh. Sabi ko, yari.
Good debtor model, something like that, right?
Nung nagsalita siya, sabi ko, dapat man lang nag-negotiate, di ba?
Yun nga eh. For me kasi, that really, naipit tayo dun eh. Kasi yung utang ni Marcos, binabayaran pa rin natin.
Pero I blame the advisors eh. Dahil hindi naman alam ni Cory yung ganyang mga bagay at that time eh. No?
Department of Finance to, di ba? Kasalanan.
Yes.
Kasi I know the Winnie Munsut version, right? Which is Neda siya, di ba? Na she was pushing for cancellation of a lot of them. Kasi bakit natin babayaran? Napunta sa cronies
exactly,
yan.
No?
Pero hindi daw siya pinakinggan.
Kaya hanggang ngayon, dama natin yung repercussions ng ganyang klaseng
Tsaka kaya walang infrastructure build-up masyado after Marcos. Kasi wala nang pera, puro utang. Bayad ng utang.
Tapos, ikatlo, dahil nga very influential pa yung mga Marcoses, marami sa mga politicians nag-turncoatism lang. No? So, you have to deal with them para patakbuhin ang gobyerno. No? You have to deal with all these warlords, trapos, no? Turncoats sa Congress at even in the Senate. No? Although sa Senate, marami ng bagong pumasok. Pero sa Congress, sa mga local officials, no, kahit marami tinanggal ni Nenny Pimentel nung DILG siya, maraming very powerful na naiwan na mga pro-Marcos. Kaya nga sabi ko, they didn't really left. No? Dahil nandun naman sila. Kaya nga nung bumalik si mga Marcoses nung 91 at tumakbo si Imelda nung 92, kung nagsama si Imelda at si Danding, they could have won that early. 92. Tapos 98, nanalo si Erap, which is pro-Marcos.
Loyalist.
Pro-Marcos, no? Si GMA, naging 9-year president, pero parang Marcos din, muntik din mag-martial law noong 2006. Di ba? Tapos may mga records din ng electoral fraud, ng plunder, etc. So, medyo malapit din doon sa Marcos model, si GMA. Kaya hindi nakakapagtaka na mag-unite sila nitong nakaraang election. No? So, hindi talaga nawala eh.
It was always a fragile system, right? Very fragile.
Paano, very weak yung ating mga liberal democratic institutions. Nakasama yon.
Pero bakit? Bakit mahina? Is it lack of leadership, lack of investment in institution building, lack of citizen participation? Because sa ibang bansa nakita natin, like Korea for instance, every day parang may protesta. When the civil society is strong, matatakot talaga mga politiko. Umayos kayo dyan. Is that also about that?
Looking back, yung sumama sa people power for years until EDSA, dapat hindi nag-uwian.
That's my point.
We should have institutionalized people power. Into real people power. No? Na hindi lamang nagagwardya sa gobyerno, kundi yung iba ay papasok. No? Karamihan nag-uwian eh. Went back to their homes, to their communities. Wala na si Marcos, Ikalawa, education. Nagkaroon tayo ng 3 progressive ministers or Secretary of Education. Butch Abad, Brother Armin, Liling Briones. Pero hindi naman nabago yung ating educational system. And nitong nakaraang election, almost 60% ng voters are 40 years old and below. Ibig sabihin, the oldest of them, ay 4 years old nung nangyari yung EDSA.
So they don't know anything.
Kaya pag sinabi mo sa kanila, through social media, through new technology, na this never happened, na ito ay the golden years, etc., mas madaling maniwala. Dahil they don't know anything eh. No?
Was that the conspiracy, Ronald? Because my understanding is looking at some of the academic literature, the idea is that sa university level, medyo may maayos na pagsusuri, pero sa high school level, yung mga sympathetic sa dating rehimen ni Marcos, they were still given an easy reign to just do whatever they want. Kaya nga parang na-whitewash yung nangyari ng martial law.
Tingin ko hindi naman siya conspiracy. It's part of the weakness of our liberal democratic.
It's more inertia and then hindi inayos. I see what
parang yung ating judicial system. Sino ba yung mga naparusahan? Ang daming sinasabing human rights violation. Sino mga naparusahan? Ang daming sinasabing plunder. Sino nakulong? No? So, it was at the same time a weakness of our rule of law.
Right.
Habang ito yung weakness ng educational system, ito yung weakness ng ating economic system. So all of this, sabay-sabay nangyari this 3 decades. No?
Right.
At yung mga botante, nakikita nila ay why not? No? Hindi naman nagbago yung aming kalagayan. No?
Right.
So walang defining moment after the Cory years, no? Walang defining moment na define ano yung difference between these political parties, between these political leaders. Parang they're all the same. Yun yung tingin ng marami.
Yes,
no?
yes. Now I'm sure Mark will have another question. How did you end up? Let's fast forward to the next Aquino administration. So we have 2 Aquino administrations. Just to be clear, hindi sila sunod-sunod kasi marami nagbe-blame. Bakit nagkadalawang Aquino? Bakit ganyan-ganyan? Well, I mean, it's not like they came right after each other. But what were the circumstances under which you became Secretary Ronald Llamas? I mean, from an activist, civil society organizer, journalist.
Yes.
I mean, were you surprised by the turn of events? Can you tell us a little bit about the late president?
Kinikwento ko yung mga cause-oriented groups, mga coalitions, NGOs, mass movements. Sabi namin, di naman pwedeng lagi na lang tayo sa labas.
Yeah.
Watching everything unfold politically. So we decided in the mid-90s, sama naman tayo. Subukan natin pumasok. Yung party list system gave us that opportunity. Right. But bago kami sumama sa party list ng 98, nagpatakbo muna kami ng mga local candidates. And most of them won in 95. So sabi na, meron na tayong kwan. Dahil marami naman sa amin, walang karanasan sa election. So meron na tayong karanasan, let's build a party.
Right.
At pumasok tayo sa parliamentary system through the party list system. So doon nagsimula. Yung
and this is the Akbayan.
Yes, doon yung aming kwan. Doon ko nakilala si Pinoy, siya yung head ng Human Rights Committee. Eta Rosales was the vice chair.
Correct.
At mukhang medyo nahihirapan si Pinoy how to handle ETA. Alam mo naman si ETA, no?
Strong personality.
Mas madaldal siya sa chair, no? So, naging kaibigan ko si Pinoy dahil nagpatulong siya how to handle his vice chair. Si ETA.
Saan ka pala? Handler ka pala. Okay.
Dahil ako yung party president. Ako yung party president. Fast forward, naging senador siya, ay madalas kami nagkwentuhan, no? Dahil may mga hilig kami na pareho, no? Pero wala siyang balak for a higher position. Nandun siya sa Senate, sa House, para i-maintain yung Aquino name, no? Na hindi naman sila totally mawala. Para yung advocacy nila ay meron naman nagtutulak, no? But for a higher position, wala siyang buwan. Kaya nga nung nagpasya siyang tumakbo noong 2009, after the death of his mom, no? Nung tumawag siya sa akin na, Ronald, balik ka na dito. Sabi ko, bakit? Tatakbo ko. Ang una kong tanong, tatakbo saan? Dahil hindi sa
pati ikaw, parang hindi nag-register.
Hindi na ko naisip na tatakbo siya for president. No? Yun yung, kaya bumalik ako noon, no? Nung,
ito yung before nag-spiritual retreat siya?
Yeah, before.
Way before pa. So medyo may ano na siya.
Medyo na siya. May inkling na siya.
This is it. Yeah, this is it.
Lahat, kinakausap na siya, no? Doon sa dahil ang lakas ni Villar at that time,
Correct.
Diba? Kung maalala mo yung kanyang jingle, no? Lahat ng mga bata.
Pag bumoto mga bata, si Villar ang presidente nun, di ba?
Kaya, even then, tsaka, hindi ko naisip na siya ay magiging presidente. So, again, it was a confluence of events. Pero ang maganda, nag-scale up siya.
He rose to the occasion.
He rose to the occasion. Hindi naman siya ganyan galing magsalita eh.
Tapos bilingual talaga. Yung Filipino niya, diretso magaling. Yung English niya, diretso magaling.
Tapos hindi naman siya mahilig sa mga legislations, no? Nagsasabit siya pero hindi naman ganun karami, no? Etc. Dito, sa cabinet meeting, talagang memorize niya lahat ng mga agenda, lahat. May photographic memory siya.
What do you think? Do you think it's because that all the while he had it in him is just that, he was just calculating his better will be much more in the shadows, or there was a transformative epiphany moment? What was going on? Kasi yung tatay mo, very ambitious, strong personality.
Tingin ko partly ay nakita na rin niya yung weaknesses ng mga EDSA institutions na sinimulan ng kanyang mother, na nakita niya na kailangan ayusin na to. Itong mga kakulangan, kailangan ayusin na. At I'm left holding the ball eh. So, kailangan ko i-dribble ng maayos, no? Ikalawa, ang lagi niyang sinasabi sa akin, nakatingin yung aking mga magulang eh. Parang hindi siya pwede magkamali dahil nakatingin sa kanya yung kanyang naniniwala
He
siya.
really felt, you could see, so hindi ito ano lang.
Hindi tayo ganun ka-spiritual eh. Pero si Pinoy ganun no? Kaya lahat ng ginagawa niya, maingat siya dahil nga
bantay siya.
Dito, no? So nakita ko nag-scale up siya kahit before, ang tingin ko wala siyang wherewithal to be the president, no?
Right.
Ang problema, may mga aksidente, no? Halimbawa, yung Yolanda, wala naman nagplano noon, na
worst in 50 years.
The worst in 100 years, no? Yung nangyari, yung Luneta hostage crisis, doon nagsimula eh. Yung kanyang term. So may mga nangyari na
but I mean, to be fair, that's what the presidency about. Contingencies, like, hindi pinili ni Digong na magka-pandemic or magka-Marawi. So I mean, I know where you're coming from, but we have to be fair. Like, that's why you're the president. You're supposed to deal with questions of war and peace.
Ang problema, habang nag-scale up siya in other aspects, may ibang aspects na hindi siya handa. No? Yun yung sinasabi
I see what you're saying. So naka-target siya dito.
Ako nga, hindi ko na-imagine na magiging presidente siya. Nag-scale up siya dito, pero dito ay nung nangyari, parang nagitla rin siya.
Do you think it was parang too safe or too conservative sa pag hindi katulad nung kay Digong build and pero di ba sa kanya it started yung mga PPP eh.
Well, partly too conscientious dahil halimbawa ayaw niyang galawin yung SSS. May push kasi na i-increase yung benefits eh.
Right.
Ang pinag-aralan niya ay kung i-increase yan ng ganito katindi, malulugi yan in the medium term, in the future. Kailangan yung fiscal side nito, long term, dapat iniisip mo rin kahit hindi ka na presidente. Kaya nga nag-iwan siya ng almost $1 trillion in savings sa susunod na presidente. Then ayaw niyang bankrupt. Hindi katulad ngayon, yung minana ni BBM.
Kawawa siya.
So medyo conscientious siya sa ganyang mga bagay, no? It could be called safe, no? Pero siya parang iniisip din niya yung papalit sa kanya, no? Na ayaw niyang mangyari ito for that. Kaya may savings, kaya may hindi bankrupt yung pension fund ng mga sundalo, no? Kahit may pressure gaya sa military na i-increase, no? Etc. So tinitingnan din niya yung long term at yung objective reality ng ating government institutions, no?
At ekonomista kasi din siya.
Yes.
Trained by, among others, Arroyo, obviously, sa atin
Not just yung kung what's the populist thing to do or what.
Yes, no? Kasi wala akong pakialam.
Let's go.
Ubusin niya, no? Etc., no? Pero marami sa kanya mga projects na nagpatuloy nung panahon ni Digong, siyempre, kinlame na yan ng Duterte government. Natatawa nga ako pag pinapanood ko si Mark Villar sa DPWH na nag-inaugurate ang mga projects na nagsimula nung panahon namin. No? Siyempre, ang spin na dyan, amin ito. No?
We finished it. You just did the project proposal. Parang ganun dating.
Cutting na lang.
I think we need to talk more about this. Kasi you could say the Aquino II administration was at once the culmination of kind of a pushing for a more reform-oriented liberal democracy, but at the same time, it also exposed the inherent weaknesses of that very regime, which laid the ground for Duterte rise. Ronald, like working at the upper echelons during the Aquino era, what was the feel there? Like, is there a possibility to push the boundaries? Did you feel we need to have a much more revolutionary approach to things beyond just good governance, like effective governance, decisive reforms, structural reforms? Because one of the big problems was lack of inclusive development. Look at the numbers, they're shocking. So World Bank in 2011-12 was saying 40 families took home 76% of newly created growth, which is like twice Thailand and 6 times Malaysia. I mean, this is Latin America crazy situation. Wasn't there a part of it, because you're a progressive, I mean, you're not the standard liberal. A part was like saying, I don't think this is sustainable. Like, I mean, it's nice on Bloomberg, I don't know, news, but let's be honest, the massa didn't really benefit that much during that era, aside from the 4Ps and all. I'm just trying to be, kasi sinasabi ko yan, Ronald, is because the portrayal of Digong in the liberal imagination is he's trouble in paradise, right? Everything was going perfect. Kayo mga pasaway, ba't kayo bumoto sa ganitong populista? But like, but that's easy for you and I to say because we were doing okay during Aquino era. But I don't think that's the situation for majority of our people. Even if you're right, I mean, 6 years is too short, ang dami kailangan ayusin.
Yeah.
What is your take on this, Ronald?
Definitely, no? Nagsimula nga tayo doon sa weaknesses ng mga liberal democratic institutions for the past 3 decades, no? Tapos, hindi pa natin napag-usapan. At that time, there was a wave of populism. Hindi lang naman dito yung crisis ng liberal democracy. Around the world, eh. Kaya nagsulputan yung mga bagong mga populist leaders like Modi, like Erdogan, like Orban, Jokowi, Trump, no?
Yeah.
So halos sabay-sabay yan
Sabay-sabay.
nagsulputan, no? So nakita yung weaknesses ng mga institutions nito. Kaya
Na-exploit,
kasama yan, no? Dun sa tapos yung binanggit mo kanina, you have 6 years. 1 year is learning curve.
Yes, exactly.
Last year, you're lamed up.
Yeah.
No? So you have
So 4
practically
years
3 to 4
only,
years,
yeah.
no? Na aayusin mo yung
Tapos election pa yung isa sa gitna.
Yeah, and these are fundamental issues, no?
Yeah.
Parang nung napasok ka sa gobyerno, nakita mo, hindi pa yung expose and oppose ethos mo outside of government, hindi ganun kadali dahil you have a 2 million strong bureaucracy, no? You have an economic system which has been established for generations, no? Na gusto mong baguhin overnight, no? Ito yung you have a political system dominated by warlords and dynasties, no? Kaya nga yung anti-dynasty law in 87 hanggang ngayon wala pa, ano? Because the ones who are going to do the implementing rules are the warlords themselves, no?
Will not benefit from any change.
Sabi nga ng mga kaibigan ko from the East and the West, from China, from Europe, sabi nila, how can you be a state?
Not like
A real
this.
state with all these warlords,
Family,
with all these dynasties. So you have to confront all of this, no, na in so short a time, no. Hindi ito excuse, no. Definitely we should have pushed the envelope further. Definitely we should have done more. For example, kung kami yung ruling party, we would have done differently than the liberals, no. Pero ito rin yung sitwasyon. Ito yung limits. Ito yung objective limits, no.
But Ronald, don't you think there was also an aspect of, I hate to say it, but like a bit of self-righteousness and complacency also going on there? Like, because a lot of people would say that administration was not very kind to even constructive criticism. I'm not going to talk about my own experience.
Yes.
I was still not Haydarian back then, but even in my own little interactions and notice code, they're not as open to criticism. And there's a sense, I mean, I got a long call from the former president at some point explaining his versions and like, I'm not sure dapat ganun, diba? Like, can you tell me about that? Again, with all due respect to the late president.
You have a president na nanggaling sa malalim na insecurity. Biglang naging presidente, no?
At the leap is a bit too far.
Nag-scale up, no? Beyond his own limits, no? Yun yung isa, yung personality niya. Alam mo naman yung personality
temperamental
ni Pinoy, no? Ikalawa ay hindi naman siya revolutionary na irarak yung system, no? Halimbawa, kung ikaw ang presidente, baka ito yung ginawa mo, no? Talagang dinurog mo yung mga cartels.
Kasi vision mo talaga.
Dinurog mo yung mga cartels because our economy is cartelized. Kaya nga, yan yung naging problema sa sibuyas, sa asukal, sa bigas. It's a cartel. Yung aking kuryente, no, na doble from last month. It's because of the cartel sa utilities, no? All of these are cartels. Yan ang mga dudurugin mo, no? Kung ikaw ang presidente. Pero how do you skirt the rule of law? No, dahil itatali ka niyan sa motion for reconsideration, itatali ka niyan sa mga korte, etc. So, part of you gustong itulak ito. Part of you ay nirerespeto yung institutional limits, no? What has to go? Anong dapat mag-give? No,
the chicken or egg question, right?
Kung ako, I would push it to the limits, even beyond limits. But I'm a progressive, no? I'm a leftist, no? I'm a Pinoy was never a leftist, no? Hindi naman siya pala.
He was not revolutionary.
So part ng kanyang instincts is to wag durugin yung institutional order. Kahit nakikita niya na ito ay merong limitasyon, no? Ito ay so andun siya sa parameters na yon, no? Na tayo ay wala.
So ipit siya.
But hindi tayo ka-powerful nun no? We have 2 representatives in Congress.
No, but Ronald, I mean, you're talking about impeaching the former Supreme Court Justice, the DAP issue. I mean, some people will say, hindi heavy-handed. I remember very well in the Congress, there are people pissed off inside the Congress. You shouldn't do this to the Supreme Court Chief Justice and things like that. So may mga times na medyo gumanon rin eh.
Ako nga, dapat dinagdagan tenfold yung ginawa niyang gano'n, no?
So, parang purge. Purge.
Kailangan mo magbigay ng message dito sa mga warlords, dito sa mga dynasties, dito sa mga recidivist elements, no? Dito sa...
Parang Duterte yun. Isn't that exactly what Duterte did?
Well, ang problema kay Duterte, naing patay. No? Ito naman, ipupush mo yung limits ng judicial system.
Pero hindi extrajudicial killing.
Hindi naman... Ibig sabihin, it can be done eh. No? At the same time, balancing human rights, civil liberties, no? Pero at the same time, destroying the root causes of these problems, di ba?
Right.
Kailan mo dudurugin ng warlords? Kailan mo dudurugin ng cartels? No? Kailan mo dudurugin itong mga rent-seeking elements inside and outside government? No?
Ronald, you're a well-traveled guy. Is there a model we can look at? I mean, for me, mas similar tayo sa Latin America. I mean, you go around the region, even Thailand na sobrang trapo. Next level pa rin ang Pilipinas.
It could be a combination of an activist state, no, pushing the envelope, and a social pact. Halimbawa, ang isang strength kasi ng Europe as a community not only of interest, but a community of values, ay yung social pact. Sections of their elites, large part of their civil society, nagkasundo, no, na, hindi kami ganito ka-revolutionary, pero
bigyan mo ka ng welfare
ito yung
benefits.
Welfare namin. Diyan na buo yung welfare state, no? Kailangan maayos ang education, kailangan maayos ang health, kailangan maayos ganito, no? So sections of the elites are willing to sacrifice. We call them now modernizing. Part of their earnings, part of their return on investment, ibibigay dito, no? Halimbawa, almost 50% ng mga nagtatrabaho sa Scandinavian countries, 50% ng kanilang sahod na pupunta sa taxes. Nagkareklamo ba sila? Mostly hindi. Bakit? Dahil may returns.
Unless malaking kita mo. I mean, I have friends and relatives there.
Kaya naman lumalakas yung kanan because of that. No? Pero sinasabi ko, it's a combination ng ganung klaseng, not one model. No? Kailangan mo ng strong activist state, no, na talagang paparusahan yung mga nagkasala o patuloy na nagkakasala, at saka yung at the same time a social pact between civil society, sections of the elites, sections of the military, no, para itulak itong vision nito. Para hindi maging chicken and egg. No, hindi
I see what you're saying. Diba? Breaking the cycle.
Make a break, no? Make a rupture, no? Not a Leninist insurrectionary rupture, no? But a rupture in the evolutionary process na palagi kang bumabalik sa simula doon sa problema, no? Yun yung problema sa evolutionary process. Akala mo these changes will evolve within that system, no? Hindi. No? So kailangan mong baguhin yung system, but at the same time, no, not too fast. Dahil you're not yet that strong. At the same time, meron kang mga institutions, kumbaga don't throw the baby with the bathwater, no? Yun yung ginagawa naman ng mga populists, no? Na ini-invoke itong mga problemang ito, wawasakin yung system, no? At mawawala yung mga positive elements ng liberal democracy. So, in a way, parang si Kautsky or si Rosa Luxemburg, na naniniwala sila na may strengths naman yung liberal democracy. Pero hindi siya sapat. No? Kailangan mong baguhin yung liberal democratic system, or else babalik ka doon sa weaknesses ng liberal democratic system. No? Siguro yun yung naging problema ni Pinoy, na hindi naman siya socialist, hindi naman siya revolutionary, pero reformist siya.
But he came to power and raised expectation very high. Like Mark, you want to tell me a lot?
Ang question lang din. Kasi parang naging criticism din or naging problema din hindi nako-communicate daw masyado to the public yung mga achievements nung panahon ni Pinoy. Pero for you ba, ano bang mga iniwan na magagandang achievements and legacy under the Pinoy administration?
Should you have had more bloggers? You know what I'm saying? Maybe more Maharlika, you know?
Halimbawa, yung TESDA, no, yung informal education, distance education. In-expand niya, pinalaki niya. Kaya nga lumakas si si Joel Villanueva, no?
Yes,
Dati ang
one,
TESDA hindi pinapansin. Yung nabanggit mo kanina, no, Mark, yung 4-piece, no? Pero dapat hindi lang yan dole out Kailangan lagyan mo ng shape yung kwan. Pero lumaki, nag-multiply several fold yung 4-piece na actually kinuha sa Latin America. Diba? Yung Bosa Familia.
Right, Bosa Familia.
Doon
Brazil.
Oo. Pero sana lagyan mo ng shape na hindi lang siya dole out, no? Na ito ay papunta sa employment.
Yeah.
No, ito ay papunta sa basic living wage. Naipit siya sa dole out system lang no? So, yan yung halimbawa, anti-corruption, no? Hindi ko naman sinasabing gagawin natin yung nangyari sa China na 1 million Communist Party members pinakulong.
Tigers and flies,
Pero wala tayong napakulong for corruption, no? Alam mo namang napakaraming corrupt. So, magiging kwan yan kakabahan yung mga rent-seeking, cartels, no, etc. Inside and outside government. Kung ginawa mo yan, no? Not EJK. Dahil wala namang sa EJK ang namatay yung mga user Not the supplier, no? It's not the supply side, it's the demand side, no? Yun naging problema. So, pwede ka namang nag-strong anti-crime dahil malakas yung ethos na yan sa OFW and their families.
Right.
Pero, binago mo, imbis na demand side, yung babanatan mo, yung supply side. No? Yung customs, no? Bucor, no? Itong...
Big Fish.
Alam
na, sino yan?
May record ka naman yan Ang gobyerno, may record naman. Sino hoarders? Sino smugglers?
Meron yan.
No? Sino So, ang problema, they are protected. Not only by ninja cops, no? Not only by warlords, they are protected by rule of law.
Courts,
with the system na flawed. No?
Na-game yung system.
Yes. Pero sinasabi ko to, looking back, parang sinasabi ko to in retrospect, sinasabi ko to based sa aking lens. No? Kaya nga pinapaliwanag ko, hindi ganun si Pinoy. Nung naging presidente siya.
Do you have any regrets? I mean, do you have, parang ikaw, you were not the president, but in your own capacity as someone who had these ears or to a certain degree, may feeling ka may pagkakulang, may mga kailangan kayong, I know, of course, benefit of hindsight, but still, considering how things turned out just after Pinoy, the backlash, the whole demonization of the liberal democratic project, and how did you personally navigate that difficult transition? It must have been very, very traumatizing.
Siguro dapat from the very start, nagplano ka na ng political project. No? Beyond yung kung walang korap, walang mahirap. Halimbawa, CORI, political project na is basically people power. FBR was Philippines 2000, Tiger Economy. Di ba? Si era para sa mahirap, no, naudlot no, dahil nga sa problema ng corruption, etc. Tapos may 9 years ka ni GMA, Strong Republic, no, na muntik nang nagdeklara ng state of emergency because of her unpopularity. Then came Pinoy, no, era para sa kung walang korap, walang mahirap, and then Duterte, yung anti-crime, no. Siguro kung na-strengthen yung political project beyond yung kung walang korap, walang mahirap, no? So what now? No? Anong kasunod niyan, no? Baka mas nagkaroon ng chance yung kanyang successor, no? Pero parang yung kung walang korap, walang mahirap, kinuha ng kanyang successor, para kay Pinoy yun dapat nag-create ka doon para doon sa successor mo, no, maliban pa sa nagbiyak si Grace po at saka si Mar, no, at that time. So looking back, parang dapat inayos mo lang earlier, no, yang yan, no, parang yun nangyari last time. Kung if Lenny decided earlier to run, no, imbis na last minute, tapos nag-unite sila, nila Isko, nila Pacquiao, nila Juan, no, na kung sino ang standard bearer,
kasi may unit team ka na sa kabila
dahil hindi nangyari yun, no, nagbiyak-biyak kayo, tapos late kayo nagsimula, ito, ang habang panahon ng paghahanda parang buong nung simula nung bumagsak sila, naghahanda na silang bumalik at na-weaponize nila yung bagong technology na hindi masyadong na-weaponize o na ayos nung mga rivals nila, diba? Siguro kung may real talk noon, baka iba.
Yun nga. On that note, thank you very much, Ronald Llamas, for giving us a background or kind of overview analysis of yung mga kakulangan ng sistema natin, things we want to do, we should do. But on our next episode, we're going to talk more specifically about the current state of play. Another Marcos in Malacanang. How is this different? How is this similar? And of course, the Dutertes are still not out of the picture. So let's talk about this Duterte-Marcos axis or...
Masaya yan,
yeah,
no?
so and not to mention, may SWS survey.
Masaya yan,
so as early as now, 2025, 2028. Pag-usapan natin. So now we're gonna shift to punditry from a historian point of view. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat din.
Real Talk